Hi, my name is PK. Welcome back to my channel. I want to talk about 5 things in life that messed me up pretty badly. I'm sure there's a lot of things that messed me up in life, but these are 5 things that broke my confidence and brewed insecurities. The first thing is the desire to be understood. I I don't know, at one point in my life, I developed self-awareness of the things I'm doing and how I'm affecting others, and I didn't know I was an empath then, but I could, in a way, it felt like telepathically, I feel like I could read people really easily, see what they needed, what their intentions were, that I would be able to people please really easily. But then when it came to my own desires and needs, people can't read me, okay? I didn't know that because I'm like, well, I can tell what you need based on the way you're talking, the way you're standing. Like, why can't you tell what I need? I just need a little bit of love. But I wanted to be understood, and I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to, like, have that energy where we can just talk and bounce off joy and have fun. But that was not always reciprocated, and at one point I really needed it. I felt really alone and empty, and I was really desiring someone who would understand me on an emotional depth. But yeah, that didn't happen, and I have loving people who would like to support me, but again, they didn't really have the time and effort as I did because I'm single and alone, so I have more time on my hand, and so they didn't put in the same amount of effort as I feel like I did. And I was giving a lot, and I didn't have anything that I didn't really have any needs, because if I needed something I would just get it. I'm so used to being independent that yeah, that distance and the emptiness made me feel so alone and depressed, and the more I wanted to be understood, the worse I felt. So I had to learn to let it go. I had to learn that it's okay if people didn't understand me, and it ended up working for my benefit, because they'll just be like, oh, that's just PK, that's how PK is, like, oh, like, yeah, and just like kind of brush it off because that's how PK is. And I tend to be someone who will say something if I truly believe it, or like come off kind of weird because of my beliefs. And I do what I feel like is integrity and integrity to myself. So if something bad had happened and no one would speak up, I would speak up about it, and I said that's not right. But everyone in the room will be afraid to say something, and then behind the scenes no one will stand up for me and support me then, but behind the scenes they'll be like, oh, I'm so glad you said something. I'm like, you should have said something then. So yeah, it earns me respect, but at the same time it was tough because I'm so emotional, I'm so sensitive, that I'm like, hello, anyone else sees this? So I had to learn to be okay with not being understood and not being liked, not fitting in at all, which builds to my quirkiness and made me more popular in a way where I'm respected and people know that, like, I'm not BS, so don't BS me. Yeah, so that also I has developed into me being viewed as a leader at my workplace, which I often say, please don't look at me because I just want to keep to my job and not be bothered. But yeah, because I'm willing to stand out and be myself in being okay with failures and faults and not being liked and not having to be understood, that has actually worked in my benefit. But that was something I was struggling really hard just last year, and that's because I was feeling really lonely last year. Yeah, and I'm also someone again who's very independent, so I just never really need anything. And all I wanted is to have like emotional depth and conversations that are like meaningful. But a lot of people are too busy for that, so it was really hard to build connections that were lighthearted and easy and fun. Number two is attaching my self worth to things like money, opportunities, and skills. So because I would attach my self worth to things, I'll be like, oh, I don't know if I can afford this, if it's worth it, if I deserve it. It's too expensive for me. I would have these self critical thoughts like, oh, I'm not good enough for it. Or like, I suck, I can't do it. Like, I don't have the skills. I don't know if I'm good enough, even though I'm the most experienced person. I don't want to do it. I don't want more responsibilities, honestly, but I often don't shoot for certain opportunities or achieve certain skills because I just don't think I can do it. I don't believe in myself enough. I would attach my self-worth to these things and think, oh, well, I can't make a certain amount of money because I don't I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy of it. Why I do that, I don't know. I have no idea why I do that. But how to tackle it is being aware that you are doing it and then developing new beliefs. So whenever I'm like have these negative thoughts, I would learn to neutralize it and speak more positive. That and these five things are things I still work on because I have to be self-aware. Number three is loyalty. I'm a really loyal person, extremely loyal person, but not everyone has the same amount of commitment and loyalty that I'm willing to give. So that was something that really broke me that I had to learn and live with. So I am more conscious about who I would commit to and also when the loyalty needs to end. Especially this is really big for like companies. There will be people who will work for companies for like 10 plus years and they're getting nothing back out of it. They're still getting low paid and no good benefits. So I was asking why they're staying because you can get better somewhere else. Um, and they usually have a reasoning, but again, you could always find better somewhere else. To me, I think it's more of accountability for them, but or like the fear that no one's gonna give them the same amount of like usually the scheduling the hours and stuff, but people are usually willing to compromise with you, especially when you've shown that you work that many, like the services that you're willing to commit to a company. People like that. And so that's something I really have to learn to let go is loyalty and learning when I need to let go of certain commitments, which is really hard, especially when it comes to a person that you really love. When you realize that they're just no longer putting the same amount of effort in the relationship, you kind of have to come to a point where you choose yourself or you choose them. And for me, I'm someone who always choose myself because honestly, we only have ourselves. And at the end of the day, if they're no longer pouring into the relationship, now I'm feeling like a negative. Let's say if it was money, I'm now in the debts of negatives and I'm emotionally, I feel on even worse and worse. And the more I keep pouring to them, the worse I feel because they're no longer giving back to me. And so for me to feel happy again and loved again, I will have to leave the relationship. And leaving relationships is hard, it breaks you, but at the end of the day, when you can pour back richness into your life and pour self-love into you, it's more fulfilling, and the payoff the payoff is really nice. It is really nice because now you feel embodied and that you can support yourself and you're badass. Also, loyalty is learning to let go of an ideal version of myself. I wanted to be an artist, a singer, play music. I buy things and I just never commit because I just don't really see myself as that. So I have to learn to let that version of me go. 4 is trusting others before myself, and I know this is a big one. This is something that we've been conditioned to do ever since we were kids because, you know, our parents, community taught us to think and believe in certain ways. So if you're not taught or you just don't suddenly are weird to think outside the box, then yeah, it's hard to realize this. But a big one is that, you know, how we let age define us, right? We are trusting in others' words when they're like, oh, you're too young to be doing that. Or when they're like, oh, when you hit 30, you're too old to be doing this and that. We are putting other people's words before our own and like trusting what they say. And this is a community thing that happens. And so when we realize that, you know, oh, age is just a number and we can be whoever we want to be, we are no longer limited to these beliefs and we can start achieving and striving for things that we truly desire. And there are people who are young and who are doing it, and there are people who are old and who are doing it. And so why can't we? So it's learning to trust and believe in yourself and your own desires, and developing that confidence that, you know, you know who you are, and they don't know the intentions and the emotional depth and the determination you have to go after something. Yes, it doesn't work for them because they don't have the same amount of determination, hunger, and motivation that you have. So of course it's not going to work for them. They can't see it because they can't dream it. So it is your own wish and your own desire. So that doesn't mean that it should stop you. So that goes in with a lot of things, like reaching for opportunities. Like, so what if that person said no, or like company said no? You know, try anyways. Because the more you do, the more you're gonna get among the communities and people who can support you and help you and open up the doorways for you. So trusting yourself before others is a really big one, and it's really important to have discernment to know when, you know, like when people talk to you, they'll give you advice. I don't think I tend to ask for advice a lot because I don't really trust others. But that doesn't mean what they say, because I'm an empath, so that doesn't mean what they say does, like, it affects me really easily. And so I really have to be careful about who I'm asking advice from. And I usually don't really ask it for validation because if I ask for advice, I'm really seeking for advice. But what was I gonna say? Oh, so let's say like you just tell someone something and they will start pouring their worries and concerns into you out of their good intention. And this is why I don't like good intentions, because a lot of time their good intentions comes from their own worries and fears and insecurities and doubts. And then now they're pouring into you, well, like, well, did you think about this and this is gonna happen? And a lot of times, let's say if this is someone who's successful in really giving you a clear path, that's different. This is why you have to have discernment and understand, is the advice true? Is the advice real? Or is it just coming from their own worries and fears? Yeah, I will listen to it with a grain of salt, but I would most of the time realize that even them like, oh, well, you know, be careful of this, I would realize that's coming from their own worries and fears. And I don't really like hearing these things because they planted a seed in my head now, and I'm so I'm such a worry in that I will start thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to be careful of this and that. Yeah, I can't even watch certain things anymore because I would start getting nervous, anxious out for no reason. Yeah, those little things unintentionally they plant seeds in my head and makes me feel worse. So I often don't seek for advice. And if I need advice, I would just look for online for the materials that I need. I would, oh, excuse me, I would do my own research. And that goes into also, again, learning to trust yourself, learning to figure out what information is true for you, what information works for you, doing your own research, and figuring out, again, what is true to you, because your truth, your beliefs is going to be different from someone else's. And that goes into number 5 is not taking the time to know myself. That's a huge one that messed me up because in life, I was in a relationship and I became codependent, which is unlike me. But that's how I was taught as a kid, is that we serve the men and we do this and that. But I have a lot of ego and confidence that it's hard for me to bend and completely serve someone. Like, I tend to choose myself first. But that doesn't mean that my people pleasing tendencies isn't there, and then I will develop again a really bad self-criticism, like, well, I have to do this, I should do this, and this is the right thing to do, I have to do this because that's what I was taught to do. So whenever I got out of that relationship, it was really hard for me because I didn't know I was an introvert. And when I took the time to learn about myself and what my needs are and how important it is for me to be alone, to digest my emotions in life and the things I'm going through, to figure out what next steps I need to take, it really improved my life because I learned about myself. I learned all these probably unimportant skills, but like patience, and that my patience is limited. I have patience, okay, but don't test it. My patience is limited, and people, when they see me, they think I'm a very patient and kind person, but I just no longer care. And so if you bother, you mess up with my peace of mind. I don't like that. So yeah, my people can tell that I'm confident, but then at the same time really nice. And so whenever the confidence comes out, they're like, oh, don't mess with that person. But usually I don't have to because I just stick to myself. But with the taking time to invest myself, I did a lot of reading, a lot of self-improvement of habits and developing belief systems. And again, this is self-love. It's a journey. It's always going to be a work in progress. And same thing with appearances, like learning what appearance I like, how I like to look today, how I want to do my makeup, what type of makeup I like, how I like to do my hair. Learning these little things are important for me and what works for me in my life and my desires. So when I take the time to figure out what I need in the type of relationships I need in my life and type of support I need in my life, that really helps me feel fulfilled and loved and supported. And yeah, I think that's also, when you know yourself, that also builds more confidence and improves your self-esteem. It builds self-empowerment. And so whenever people try to say negative things into your life, whether if it's intentionally or unintentionally, or they're being sly or shady, sometimes I'm kind of slow with those things. But when I take the time to digest, I'm like, I didn't like what this person said to me. And I'm like, oh, they're not a true friend. And I will learn how to remove myself from the person or the situation. And that also helps me because I take the time to really divulge my own emotions and situations. That also helps me in the moment when I'm dealing with certain situations, how to quickly act in the way that is hopefully appropriate for the situations. And that makes me seem as a leader and be respected also whenever I know how to act responsibly. Oops. And taking time to learn about yourself, you find out new things that you love and things that you're willing to challenge, fears that you're willing to challenge and test. And if your failures are really truly failures, or it's just another stepping stone for you, it's important to figure out things that you like, things that make you happy, things that bring you joy. Who in your life, what in your life don't bring you joy, and when you need to let it go, and how to let it go. It is important to take the time to really know yourself, and so you can be yourself, so you can proudly live and be as yourself and not care. Because even if we say we don't care, that takes time to develop. That takes time to develop an ego that you truly don't care about what other people think and their opinions of you, to truly be the beautiful weirdness that we are, the truly confident, fun, unique person that we truly are. Because when you are authentically yourself, you actually are more loved and cherished and respected, because you are willing to be someone that other people see that they also desire. And a lot of times you will get hated and disliked because you are so strongly confident and authentically yourself. Rather it's like being foolish, silly, too loud, too quiet, too soft, you're appreciated for who you are because you actually are who you are. You're not trying to be anyone else. And sometimes when we get into these groups, we don't understand ourselves and we want to fit in and want to be understood. We unintentionally change ourselves and shifts and become in a way codependent, people pleasing towards them, and we are a lot of masks because of this. And when we go home, if we're not happy with the life, not satisfied and happy with ourselves, then it's just not really worth it. So choose what's worthy for you and what feels right for you, what's integrity to you. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like and subscribe, and maybe I'll bring more content related to this. Thank you. Bye.